everyone, I'm Abigail, this is Megan, and welcome to another Two Kids interview. We are joined by author Tom Phillips. Mr.
Hello.
Phillips has written the two Curious League of Detectives and Thieves books, Egypt's Fire and S.O.S. Thank you so much for being with us today.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Okay. We are going to start this interview a little differently because I'm not sure I can hold Meghan off till the end of the interview to ask this question.
Okay.
Are you working on the third Curious League book yet? I need book 3.
I am. I'm writing book 3. It's called The Curious League of Detectives and Thieves, The Peruvian Express.
That sounds really interesting.
Yeah, so it's going to take place on a train in Peru.
How are your books influenced by your own childhood?
Well, a couple ways. First, all of the characters are named after my best friends growing up. So the Great Gotini is based off of my friend Tanny Cayman Nanda, and it's Cayman Goteen. John Randall Borhog is named after John Randall Davis, and Scotty Moose is named after my friend Scott Redder. Now they and then Todius was my nickname in high school, so that's where Todius McGee comes from. Yeah. Now the personalities and things are completely different, but the names are from them. And then as a kid, I really loved to go to museums. It's as an adult, I really love to go to museums. So I was at a museum one time, and this kid in front of me was with his mom, and he said, "Oh, I wish I could live here." And his mom said, "Where would you live?" And he said, "In the ceiling." And then that like sparked this whole book. So I thought, how cool it would be to live in a ceiling of a museum.
Did you write a lot as a child?
I didn't. I actually have dyslexia. So, and I didn't find out until I was a sophomore in college. I was an art student. I was really good at drawing. So I didn't really start to get into reading and storytelling and things until I was in college.
How did you come up with the ideas for your mysteries, especially the aircrew ship?
Well, so all of my books are based off of very classic mysteries that people like Agatha Christie wrote. So I wanted to have a cruise ship like murder mystery as one of my ideas. And then I was like, but I don't want it just to be a cruise ship. I decided it needed to be something a little different. So I decided a cruise ship in the sky would be a lot of fun. So we kind of ran with that. And then Egypt's Fire is based off of Ruby I saw in one of the museums. I've traveled across the world, and one of the museums had the world's biggest ruby. And I like jewel heights.
I did see in the About the Author place right here.
Yeah.
You might there's a monkey, and my instant thought was that kind of seems like a monkey that would inspire Shim Sham. And then I noticed that the monkey was holding a ruby looking thing.
Yeah, I actually have here, I'll got it. Hold on. Sorry. I actually have Egypt's Fire. So
very cool.
Yeah, so that's about the size of what it would be, a little like a baseball. And I love monkeys. One of the other things I really love are zoos. Actually, I have a tattoo of a monkey on my arm. So I've always been a big fan of monkeys. So I decided that Shim Sham needed to be there had to be a criminal mastermind, and it had to be a monkey. Like the first day, like when I first started writing, I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do it. There's got to be a monkey, and he's got to be an evil criminal mastermind. And I was sort of inspired by like Indiana Jones, one of the Indiana Jones movies. There's a monkey that's like a thief. And ever since a kid, I was like, I would love to own a monkey.
A monkey criminal, right up my alley. So what about your train, the
Peruvian
Express? Will that be doing anything special in the next book?
The Peruvian Express, so there is an actual train that travels through Peru that goes up through Machu Picchu and goes all the way down through Cusco. And one of my favorite books is the Murder on the Orient Express by Agatha Christie. So I wanted to do something like that. So the train is a little special, but it's still a train. It's not a flying train. It's just it has its twists and its turns, because I like to take the world and kind of just give it a little bit of a twist. It's a little more fun.
What is your process when putting a book together? Do you decide the end before the middle, or do you put it together in order?
Oh, okay. Well, so when you write a mystery, you plot backwards. So I always say you plot backwards, so you know like how the person is caught of what they're stealing, and then you move backwards, you plot backwards to the beginning, and then you write forward. So you plot from the point of the criminal, and then you write from the point of the detective. So that way you can follow the clues to get to how they catch them. That's how I do it, anyways. And then I'm really big into the hero's journey, which is was made up by this man named Joseph Campbell. And there's like 12 points that every story follows, and he like broke it down. So I'll take those 12 points and use my plot line to kind of plot that out before we get into it. But yeah. So when you write a mystery, you write backwards, which is weird, but
Writing isn't easy, and rejection seems to be a part of of most writers' journey. Was that a part of your journey at all?
yeah, I actually uh my book was rejected by 167 agents before my agent Ann Rose picked me up. And then she took and tried to sell the book for like 2 years before it got picked up and got published. So rejection is a big part of it, but the truth is that there's room on the shelf for everyone, and it's very subjective. And like when you're trying to find an agent, you don't want somebody who doesn't like really get you, be like, you guys are best friends, right? And you want to hang out with each other, you want to be best friends. And sort of but you wouldn't want to, you don't want to just be with somebody just because they're there. And I think that that's the biggest thing when you try to find an agent. You're going to try to find someone that you would enjoy being with, and they get you and they understand your writing and they understand what you want to do with your books and things like that, so you can have a real champion.
I think those people who rejected it are crazy. The book is awesome. They need new jobs. I
No,
agree.
no, they don't. No, they don't. Because sometimes they just don't. It's just not their thing, right? Like they might not like mysteries, but they might be really into romance, and maybe that's who they want. They should be reading. Books are. We always say it's like your cup of tea or not your cup of tea. So like you don't have to love every book. Like every book you read, you don't have to love, but there are definitely books out there that you will love.
Can you tell us about a time when you were doing something and noticed someone or something and thought, I need to put that in a book, besides the thing in the museum?
Okay. Oh, that's really hard. Okay, so Wembley, um, Kuoka, I met a little Australian boy, and the way that he talked, just like the way that he like expressed himself, I was like, this, you have to be a character in my book. You have to be. Like he's just so funny, and he has this just really wonderful. Everything is super positive all the time. So like we'll be like stuck in a rainstorm, and they'll be like, "Wow, the rain feels really good, doesn't it?" And all the rest of us are like, "No, we're in a rainstorm." So that definitely caused me to be like, "Oh, he has to be in my book." Um,
After you finished your first draft, how much do you revise the book?
Oh, the first book I rewrote a lot, a lot. I kept rewriting it till I thought it was perfect. The second book I had an editor, Allison Weiss at Pixel and Ink, and she's amazing. So I think we did like 2 passes on the book, and then the book goes through, when it goes through publishing, it goes through a whole bunch of different passes. So I send it to my agent, she gives me notes, and then I rewrite it and I send it back to her, and then it goes through a copy editor who makes sure all the spelling and everything is right and all the continuity is right. So if you say they've been stuck in a cage for 3 days, but then you say it's Tuesday, but then the chapter before you were like, oh, it was a Monday, and they're like, that doesn't match up. So they like catch all the things that a writer might miss. And then it goes through like a spell check and a grammar check, and then it goes through a sensitivity reader to make sure that we don't say something that is wrong. And then it goes back to the editor, and she does one more pass, and then it comes back to me, and I get to look at it, what it would look like in a book. They like print the book out and send it to me, and then I get to like go through it. It's digital, but I get to go through it and make sure everything is perfect, exactly what I want to say, and then it goes to printing. So you rewrite the book even after the editor buys it. Probably give good 5 passes on it.
Your dog is named Dr. Watson, which seems pretty formal. Do you always call him by his full name? Or do you sometimes call him Doc, Watson, Doctor?
I refer to him as Doctor, but sometimes we just call him Watson.
I
Yeah.
have a feeling that about that because in the book, Toady calls John Doctor.
Yeah, well, that actually came from my college. I had a professor named Dr. Buys, and he would refer to everybody as doctor and then their last name, except for me. And he called me Tommy all the time. And finally, one day I said, "Hey, man, why don't you ever call me doctor?" And he was like, "Oh, it's all in potential, kid. It's all in the potential." And I thought, that's hilarious. But also, I want to be called doctor. So it's become a thing that I have adopted in my life. So I'll
I
refer to
remember
people as doctor
in
a lot.
I remember in the first book when Todius and Detective Brownie, I think, he something happens and he says it's all in potential.
It's all about potential, Doug. It's all about potential. Yeah. And like I do a thing too with my characters that's really important is the first time you see a character in the first book, anyways, is not who they are, right? So like Doug Brownie, you meet him and you don't like him. And then he ends up being a good guy. And you meet, Todius and you think he's completely insane, but he's not. Like I really like to try to play with that idea of like sometimes when you see somebody, the mask they present is not the person they are. So it's something that's really important to me to like kind of play with those themes. I also like to represent lots of different types of masculinity. So there's all different types of men in it, from you know the detective who's super smart, or somebody who's really strong, or someone who likes muscle cars, or somebody who loves butterflies. And like I like to play with the idea of there's lots of different people in the world, and you can't really define someone into one category or one box.
What writer has had the most influence on you?
Charles Dickens, Lemony Snicket, Agatha Christie. Those are my three favorite. I
What
practiced that.
advice what advice do you have for young people who want to write?
Read a lot and just write. Don't edit your books. Just write them. Finish them first, and then once you get the book done, then you can go back and change things. But if you like keep trying to edit with your first chapter, you'll never finish your book. You'll always try to make it better and better, and you'll never get past that. But definitely read a lot, because the best way to learn how to write is to read.
That's big advice. Do you also have a smaller tip? Something you don't do when you're writing that
I'm
maybe
so
a lot
sorry.
of people don't?
Let me think. Do I have something that's smaller? We'll do that. I don't. Yeah, I like to describe with feeling. So instead of saying a tree is green, I'll say like the tree smelled like lemons. Because I feel like sensation of something locks it in your brain more, because we're all reading, and we're picturing all these people in our minds and stuff. So by giving you sort of central like feelings of things, I can lock you into what I was thinking at the time and try to like get you to see what I see. Try to play the movie in your head. Does that make sense?
Besides the Curious League of Detectives and Thieves, the Peruvian Express, is there any other project in the works that you can tell us about?
Not no, no. I'm a secret keeper. See, no. I actually write for film and television, so I'm working on some really cool projects on that. We're on strike right now, so when the strike is over, hopefully. But and I have a couple ideas about some books that we're kind of tossing over right now. But right now with the Peruvian Express, I want to write 12 books in the series, and my agents and my publisher think we'll probably write about 7 in the series. So we're gonna compromise, and I'll probably write somewhere around 7 in the series.
Finally, it's time for our Turbo 10. 10 rapid fire questions. Are
All
you
right,
ready?
I'm ready.
Let's go. Number 1, what is your favorite phrase to use?
Favorite phrase to use? That's amazing.
Number 2, what is one subject you'd love to learn more about?
I would love to learn a foreign language.
Number 3, what is your go-to snack food?
Uh, ice cream sandwiches.
Number 4, what was your favorite book growing up?
Uh, the Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens.
Number 5, if you could teleport somewhere right now, where would you go?
If I could go anywhere right now, I would go to Peru.
Number 6, if you could have one superpower, what would it be?
I would like to be a technokinetic, so I could talk to machines.
Number 7, what was your favorite cartoon as a kid?
Scooby Doo.
Number 8, what's your favorite rainy day activity?
Uh, Reading or puzzles, jigsaw puzzles.
Number 9, if you could have any 3 dinner guests, who would they be?
3 different guests. Lemmy Snicket, um, Neil Gaiman, and Barack Obama.
Number 10, what's the best piece of advice you were ever given?
The best piece of advice I was ever given. Be kind, because you don't know where the person who you're talking to has been, because we don't live in each other's shoes. So always be kind, even if they're mean to you. Be kind. like with strangers.
Nice job. That was great. Thank you so much for doing that. And thank you so much for spending this time with us.
No problem. Thank you guys for having me.